Good morning. Calendar week 38. A decisive move into autumn. Autumn came quickly to the barracks. It was not a summer with gold stars of pure sunshine pinned to its chest, but it was warm and dry without ever being showy-offy. I understand that many of my fellow garden gnomes suffered from a lack of water, but here in the middle of the forest that was only an occasional concern. The crazy dry winter had more to do with the lack of water in the soil than the mild summer's relative lack of rain. But this last week, it being September after all, autumn did indeed come to stay, and we are going to embrace every last drop of it. Evenings are short but glorious at the start of the harvest season, and last week we had a wonderfully unphotographable sunset of your usual pinks, purples and oranges to the west, and the last mists of a clearing downpour throwing double rainbows to the east. We got everyone who was here outside to have a communal staring, open-mouthed at the skies. Every time you turned around to look in one direction, the other heavenly hemisphere did something even more spectacular to surprise you with on the next half-revolution. Weather-wise, the coming week feels already like it's going to be a very variegated bag of fun, with some rain most days. I and the tomatoes would prefer a bit of sunshine. The vegetable fruits are still firm and doing just great, with no signs of them doing anything nasty on the vine, and they droop heavily and expectantly, desperate for some hot rays to burn the green skins red. I'm only fractionally worried about them. The plants are robust and healthy, with zero signs of blight, botrytis or bacteria, and the Indian summer that we always express surprise and delight at come the end of September will surely see the blushing complete. I do hope so. We have so far only bottled 3 jars of tomato puree. It is delicious, but it's also a good bit behind where we'd rather enjoy being. This week then, hopefully, we should see some ramping up of the canning, bottling, drying, pickling and preserving part of the year. But I've also decided to pretty the garden. I'm going to remove every last weed, mow and rake to perfection, trim, prune, style and improve every visual aspect of potager. And, just this one time, take some of those gardening book-style photos that belie and camouflage the enormous amount of work that goes into them. This isn't actually the best year to pick for it. It's been a genuinely quite difficult year in the self-sufficient garden. Conditions were never awful, but they were never quite right. We haven't been particularly attacked by locusts or disease, but the weather just never happened quite when you would have wanted it to. Putting the extra effort into the standards, potato, beans, tomatoes, onions, had made a great success from each of those 4 quadrants, but a whole load of other, possibly more decorative vegetables suffered. This year there is no celery, there are no leeks, and a single red pepper plant is having to do quite a lot of lifting. I made a ridiculous mistake in the polytunnel, getting my melon and pickling gherkin seeds mixed up at the start of the year, and realising only when the melons, not gherkins, had set a few proper leaves. 3 melons for breakfast is not as useful as a row of pickles on the storeroom shelf, though delicious, of course. The storeroom is going to be transformed this week, not yet with tomatoes, but I've decided to dump a bucket load of pears and apples into syrup and delight in those over the winter. And we may try to make some pumpkin creations that will last a few months in jars. Despite what you may have read elsewhere, pumpkins do not store particularly well. We plant them, a lot of them, for the seeds as much for the flesh, and because you can leave them outside for a pretty long time, and to be able to eat pumpkin fresh from the field every day for the whole of autumn and half of winter is a particular treat. And finally, maybe most importantly, we're going to be encouraging seeds and saving them. We're doing pretty well on onions, the beans and tomatoes are taken care of. Potato seeds are just potatoes, squashes are not a problem. Roots are tricky, but I'm definitely going for it. And all the green leafy stuff, I let go to seed where it is, and then transplant the new baby plants in the spring. Hopefully there will also be some grass mowing. I've not had to do any for about 3 weeks now, 4 in places. This alone is a pretty good indicator of how weird and tricky a gardening year it has been. but I do need a good few bags of clippings in order to top off the compost heap for the winter. A good covering of mowings to keep the warmth in and encourage the army of invertebrates which are going to colonise it for the cold months, living their lives and creating the physical manifestation of the maxim that good gardening has at its core: improve the soil. How has your gardening year been? I have to say it's been wonderful for the potatoes, and we're going to get a good cellar full. But I can't shake the feeling that it's all been very strange. What have been your successes in the 2025 growing season? What looks to be doing especially well? And have you had to make any weird compromises with your time or space? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments, and I hope to share a grade with you again next week. Much priority love, your pirate Ben. XO. XO.